This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Today's show is being brought to you by Crawford's Barbecue Pit Products. Check out all their awesome barbecue products over at crawfordsbbq.com. Today's show is a doubleheader pulled from July 23rd, 2013. Greg sits down with Diva Q, Danielle Bennett, the hardest working pitmaster in the barbecue world. Talk all things Diva. You can also catch up with Diva over on Instagram at DivaQBBQ.com. It is one seriously great feed. I suggest you check it out. Let's get to it. Here's Greg and the Diva from July 23rd, 2013.
D, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah,
can you hear
great.
me?
Yeah, well, when you turn the microphone on, you can hear everybody. Okay. First time doing the show live, I guess. How are you?
Yeah.
Anyway, my first guest tonight, the second hour, no stranger to the show. She is the pitmaster of Diva Q competition barbecue team. She has her own show out there on the Travel Channel right now called Barbecue Crawl. And just this past Sunday, showed up on Barbecue Pitmasters as the guest judge. We welcome back Diva Q. Okay, we already did that. All right, so where to start with you tonight, Danielle? How about Barbecue Crawl? You were on a handful of months ago here on this show talking about, how it came together and when it might possibly air in Canada. Fast forward, and it has already played in your neck of the woods. Now it's here in the States on Travel Channel. Before we come to the USA review, how did it go over in Canada from a business standpoint? Did it do better than expected? And kind of, what was the thought, and did it come in above, around expectation? What do you know?
Well, I will tell you, it was an absolute smash hit. The ratings were 3 or 4 times higher than they expected.
Really?
So it doesn't get much better than that. It has been an absolute hit. And
that's just the Canadian side of things, right?
That's just the Canadian things. And then we moved on after it played very successfully on the Travel and Escape Network here in Canada. That's with Blue Ant Media and RTR Media. It moved very successfully over to the U.S.
Right. So here's the transition over to that. So it shows up here in the States beginning, this month on the Travel Channel. So comparing, what is a big cable channel here in the States, what isn't a big cable channel here in the States. Travel, definitely a top-tier programmer.
Yeah, it is, and we're very excited about that, of course. One of the things is that being on a mainstream channel is huge. It's so exciting. I love the fact that so many people have access to our show and that, they're enjoying it, and the numbers are really good. So I'm thrilled. I'm happy for our entire production team that has worked their butts off.
I was going to say, at the end of that question, it was like, it was doing really well in Canada. Here in the States, I mean, we're obviously not through the season yet, but, from a business standpoint, what are they thinking of it from a Travel Channel standpoint here in the States?
Well, I think that it's going extraordinarily well. I'm not at liberty to discuss numbers, but I will tell you it was extraordinarily well received so far. I'm thrilled for everybody watching it, and we're getting amazing feedback, and I couldn't be any happier.
All right, Danielle Bennett joining me here on the show. If you want to check her out here on the web, it's Diva Q, like the letter Diva and then the letter Q.ca, Canada.ca, because that's where she's from, quite frankly, Canada. How do you feel personally about the show now that it has aired in Canada? It's airing here in the States. All the BS aside, you lived it, you filmed it, you saw what it was like raw, you see what it's like finished. How are you finding the show as you're watching it?
Well, one of the great things about the show is that the star of the show actually is barbecue. It's not me. It's not anybody else. It's barbecue. We celebrate barbecue joints. We celebrate barbecue restaurant owners. We celebrate, the pit masters that are doing it every day, day in and day out. And then we have the competition side, which is so crazy and fun and, ridiculously frustrating sometimes. I feel if there's one word I'm going to say, it'd be proud. I just feel proud about it.
All right, so when we're talking about all of this different stuff in regards to what happened on the show, how does the show come together? I mean, you have all these different personalities kind of show up. I mean, we've only seen, I think, maybe 3 or 4 shows here in the States. You have, these set of characters this week. You have these set of characters that week. Is that all something that's set up way ahead of time for you, or is it something you just kind of fall into? How does that whole thing take place?
Well, it takes a lot of planning. What people don't realize is even with an unscripted show, it's a lot of planning. We plan out 6 to 8 weeks. We book the competitions in advance. However, the entire show, the original series took almost 3 to 4 years to get to air. And I'm one of the co-creators. So I'm very proud of that as well, along with Kit Redmond, Emily Glenn, Janet Keene, and the entire team at RTR Media and Blue Ant Media. So it takes a village, really. It really does. In addition, it takes a lot of organization, because we are on a real road trip. So everything has to be kind of planned in advance. However, we are definitely of the opinion that it's always better to stop and capture something than give it up. So basically, if I see something that I think we need to cover, we cover it, which is great.
Let me ask you something, Danielle. Do you troll any of these internet forums to see what other people might be saying about this show? Or is that something? Look, I mean, I have not seen anywhere near the exposure, if you want to call it fame, whatever. With the show that I've been doing the last 5 or 6 years, I don't Google Barbecue Central show. I don't Google Barbecue Central radio show. I am of the firm belief that, there's going to be, let's say, haters no matter what. Are you trolling internet forums to see what's happening or the reviews of the show here in the States? Did you steer clear of that stuff?
I've seen a few things. Overwhelmingly, the messages I get, and funny enough, just even as I'm on the net with you, I've just got 6 more messages. The Facebook feedback is huge. The Twitter feed is huge. However, there is always going to be a visible minority that absolutely hates the show. So, one of the things is that I actually got some advice from an extraordinarily wise man.
Name?
And I'm not going to tell you his name, because that's between him and I.
Wait, what's rule number 1 to the show? No names, please. Right? Of course, no names, please.
No names, absolutely no names. So he gave me some wonderful, wonderful advice, and that they are the few, the scared, the weak, the cowardly, and being nasty makes them feel big. And that, they are hating publicly because it makes them feel important. It makes them feel better. One of the cool things is that I think I'm above that. I think a lot of barbecue people are above that. And so it's really a minority group of people. It's kind of funny. And if I want to put this in really blunt terms, which is, Greg, I've known you for years now. And blunt is definitely a word I would use to describe myself. And here's what I'll say. I'm a fat chick from the suburbs of Barrie, Ontario. I'm a mom of 3. I've worked my ass off, and I have a barbecue show on in the U.S. and in Canada, and it's a successful hit. So as far as I'm concerned, I've already won, because the strength of my show is with all of the incredible barbecue people and all of the incredible barbecue friends and family that I have. So the success is not just mine. The success is actually putting out barbecue as it is, in no structured format, and say, you know what? This world is so cool and so much fun, and that's the true winner here. And you know what? The haters can continue to hate. I don't give a rat's ass. Yeah,
so that's the dovetail question is, there's a saying out there that haters gonna hate. And for the people that think that maybe you shouldn't have a show, or that should be somebody else hosting that show, do you have anything to say to them, or should they just shut the fuck up and be jealous and be the quiet in the most respectful manner possible?
Well, everybody's entitled to voice their opinion. But if you have to voice your opinion loudly and to put somebody down to make yourself feel better, I think that says a lot more about that person's character than mine.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do right now. And forgive me for a few minutes I'm going to take up here, but, I'm going to tell you what I like about the show. And what endears me most about the show is the fact that it's one that I have most likened to potential barbecue success, which means that it needs to have a consistent main character. That would be you. The audience can get invested in. That would be you. If you go back through the archives of this show and we talk about Barbecue TV, my main point is that we don't get the time to invest in a team on a lot of these shows that we see that ends up being kind of like this disconnect at some point. But with your show, sure, some of the hangers-on change out each and every week, but you're there every show. You take us through barbecue restaurants, which I guess, to be honest, I could take or leave. But we get to see you at different barbecue competition settings. We get to see the trials, tribulations that you're putting up with at those events. And this is what makes it good for me. Hell, people might like it more if they could see more like maybe I would like it more if I could see more personal diva time and drop the restaurants altogether. That's what I'm looking for in a barbecue TV show. The personal side, the competition side of things. This is as close to perfect that I have seen a barbecue show on TV right now. And yes, to be perfectly transparent, I like you. And I think that out of all the barbecue people I know, I've had you on this show the longest. And I can say that, I knew you when you weren't so-and-so, I know you now. But look, in a very long-winded way and a look-at-me kind of way, I like the show the way this has been put together, and the audience has, and screw everybody else. And that's what I got to say about that.
Thanks, Greg.
I mean,
that's really kind of you to say.
To put in your request for a future show, please contact John Solberg via email at johnjon@bbqcentralshow.com.
Hey, before we get into the next segment, let me take a minute to tell you about Crawford's Barbecue Pit Spritz. Pit Spritz is all natural and gluten-free. Pit Spritz keeps your meat super moist during the cooking process. The Peach Pit Spritz adds an amazing sweet peach taste to your barbecue. It's great on all meats and does exceptionally well with pork. All you need to do is screw the included trigger sprayer on the 16-ounce bottle and you are ready to go. Crawford's Pit Spritz also works great as a wrapping liquid to help you bring your barbecue home. Get all the details on Crawford's Pit Spritz. Head on over to crawfordsbbq.com. Be sure to use the coupon code GREG at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's Greg, G-R-E-G.
Thanks, Greg.
I mean,
that's really kind of you to say.
Yeah.
But here's what I will say. I do believe that there is an absolute place for all the types of barbecue shows that are on there. This is just one format that seems to be working and working extraordinarily well. The other thing is, I'm absolutely beloved of Barbecue Pitmasters. I love it in all of its forms. I love competing on there. It was such a fun experience multiples of times. So, I think that there's room for all of these things to happen.
All right, so we're going to get into Barbecue Pitmasters, obviously, here in a minute, but as we, how many total shows, for people to know, how many total shows of Barbecue Crawl were there that are going to be airing here in the States, and like how many have already aired?
Well, right now we did a complete full season, which is awesome because that means that we had 10 full episodes. The hope is to certainly have them all air on a network. And the great thing is that episode 5 is coming up tomorrow, Wednesday at 8 p.m., 7 Central on the Travel Channel. And I live tweet every single episode, which is great. And we have a total of 10 episodes completely. And, we've got if you go to my Twitter links, you can see the full episode, breakdown. We went to as many places as we could get to within the time constraints we had. That's one of the biggest, I think, challenges is that, you always would like to go out to more places. But at the end of the day, we only have so many weeks and so much time. So, we went to Texas, we went to Arkansas, we went to Tennessee, we went to Mississippi, Alabama, Atlanta, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Missouri, and Kansas. And it was all awesome. And if I could go to more places, I would. And certainly we can hope in the future to do that.
If I'm listening to every place that you listed, If anybody is, and even a novice barbecuer listening to the show, reading your blog or whatever the case may be, you've hit pretty much all of the quote-unquote meccas that have to do with barbecue. So it's not like you're leaving any stone unturned.
Well, I'm a fat chick that likes to eat, honey, and I've eaten at over 150 barbecue joints. Love them. I don't ever get sick of it. The only barbecue I get sick of is my own. I just don't want to eat my own stuff. I love eating other people's barbecue left, right, and center. And I think that there is a never-ending list of barbecue places we still could go to.
Is there any talk by either channel that you may or may not be able to divulge about, like a renew? I mean, obviously, any effort going into a TV show is to be, this one that's renewed over and over and over again, where you're like the star of the channel. Has there been talk by either Canada or the United States about renewing the show already?
I would say wait and see, and that you just never know where I'm going to show up. How about that?
All right, I'll take that as a yes. I'm not a psychic, nor do I believe in them, but I know good news when I hear it. All right, so we're going to talk about the Barbecue Pitmasters here in a second, but in just a summatory sense, for Barbecue Crawl, for all of the good stuff that you have heard about it, better than expected for you. I mean, this is something you said you put 4 or 5 years in development, getting it here to where it is right now. Has it exceeded all expectations for you?
Well, the thing is, Greg, it's my life. I love my life. I don't want to open up a restaurant at this point in my life. I don't want to do anything but what I'm already doing right now. I already loved my life before the show. The show just facilitates it a little bit better, and so I'm absolutely thrilled with it. I am so proud of the work that we did. My producer, my director, Emily Glenn, Kit Redmond, RTR Media, Travel Channel in the U.S., Travel and Escape in Canada, Blue Ant Media. I could not be any more proud. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with the response.
Would you ever consider opening up a freaking restaurant?
Maybe later on in life when the kids are much older, but you know what? I'm still a mom.
Older,
and
like 40?
A mom of smaller children. And my thing is that, for example, I've been out for the last 8 weekends competing. Yeah. Over half of those are by myself. And I just decided this weekend I was tired. I'm done for this weekend. And it's great. My kids and I hung out all day on the couch, watching movies, having a blast. I want to be able to do that. And if I open up a restaurant, I can't do that.
You see you on Barbecue Crawl, and you see you out on competition trails when I've had you on the show, regardless of TV fame or what have you. You have a team with you. When you're out there doing it by yourself, what kind of a dynamic is that to go from a team to go with Danielle herself in a competition atmosphere?
Well, one of the things is that nobody else cooks on my team other than myself anyways. It's always been like that. The team always sets up and does a fantastic job with like Jessie, my girl, man. When she's around, I don't have to worry about boxes, and she keeps everything all running really smoothly, and the boys set up all the stuff, and they keep all the coolers filled with lots of cold beverages, and they make my life a lot easier. When you're competing by yourself, it is what it is. I mean, there's lots of guys that do it on an ongoing basis. Kelly Wirtz, for one, he does it all the time by himself. There's tons of teams that out there that do it by themselves. I don't think there's anybody else from Canada coming doing it solo all the time, but I just have to, drive a little bit further most often. But you know what? It just makes you more focused. It makes you don't have any downtime. When the team's there, I have downtime. I can sit and I can socialize. I can talk with other people a little more often. When you're by yourself, it is what it is. You've got to stay completely focused and driven, and away you go.
Do you think you get any degradation at all because you're from Canada and not here from the U.S. when it comes to barbecue? Are you looked at as like a second-class citizen in that regard at all?
No, I got to say that's one of the few minor things, because I'm a fat chick, I get treated differently. If I was a beautiful, Victoria's Secrets model out there on the barbecue trail, maybe it'd be treated a little bit differently. But the people that matter the most to me are the ones that are real barbecue cooks that understand that I'm working my ass off, that respect the fact that I do work very hard, and that I try to do as much of this, on my own like anybody else would. I'm just another barbecue person. I just happen to be a chick.
And that's that.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there it is from July 23rd, 2013, the Diva Q. Check her out over on Instagram at Diva Q BBQ. It's a whole lot more than barbecuing and grilling. It is a great food Instagram feed, cooking in general. Tons of great content over there for sure. Just to remind you, 10% off your entire order over at CrawfordsBBQ.com. Crawford's Barbecue Pit Products. Use the coupon code GREG at checkout. 10% off your entire order. I said that. I said it again. Until next time on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less, I am your host, John Solberg, and I do look forward to talking to you again soon.